A time of respect. The latest work by Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. Beyond COVID, volcanic eruptions, Hurricane Elsa, and the global turmoil, there's fresh hope for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. A time of respect. Book launch this Thursday, January 19th, 7 p.m. at the Methodist Church Hall. There will be a review by Professor Richard Byron Cox in conversation with the author, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. A time of respect. This Thursday, January 19th, 7 p.m. at the Methodist Church Hall. Thinking of winning the lotto jackpot? Well, there is an easy way. Combo Play. Choose 4 numbers from 1 to 36. That's a combo 4 at a cost of $64. Match any 4 of the 5 numbers and win the lotto jackpot. There's Combo 6, where you purchase 6 numbers for only $12. Match any 5 of the 6 lotto numbers and hit the jackpot. How about Combo 7? That's a purchase of 7 lotto numbers for $42. Match any 5 of the 7 numbers and you will win the jackpot. There are also Combo 3, Combo 8, and Combo 9 lotto plays. Visit the NLA headquarters in Pauls Avenue or WhatsApp 495-6886 for more details.
Good evening and welcome to Roundtable Talk. It's the first edition for the year 2023 and we are pleased to welcome as our very first guest for the year, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. Happy New Year, Prime Minister. Welcome back to
Happy New Year to you and everyone here at VC3 and the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. All the best to everyone.
Okay, great. So we came out of 2021. 2022, we are now into 2023.
Yes.
What were the major challenges as regards governance in 2022?
Well, 2022, we had the spillovers from 2021, 2020 and 2021. As is well known, we had the COVID. We started 2020 between January and March. Fairly upbeat, and we saw the economy picking up very much over 2019, even though 2019 was pretty okay. And then COVID, that dominated us in 2020 until, well, throughout the whole period of 2020 into 2021. People forget that between September 2020 and February 2021, of the 117 people, 118 people who are dead as a result of COVID, 96 or 97 of them died in that period from September to January, February, September 2020 to January, February 2021. And then, of course, in April, we had all these volcanic eruptions. Then in July, we had Hurricane Elsa, which battered the Northeast, which was already devastated as a consequence of the the volcanic eruptions. And then later in that year, we had some alternating dry spells with excessive rainfalls. Then come February 2023, the 4th of February 2022, we had the military action by Russia in Ukraine, which exacerbated pre-existing challenges, supply chain problems, downturn in the economy, rising interest rates, the world economy going into a tailspin. And then those global challenges, in one way or the other, we saw difficulties, and up to now, we see the lockdowns in China, the revision of the growth of that Asian tiger. It has been a difficult global and, of course, regional situation. In fact, we're hearing some noise. I don't know if it's coming in here.
Yes, it is.
The football, the guys are
yeah.
playing football. I think Richmond Hill had scored just as I come in. I think they were leading 2-0. In the Caribbean, however, St. Vincent and Grenadines, we were able to hold things together. In 2020, as a result of COVID, all the countries in the Caribbean, save and except Guyana, went into the economic hole, so to speak. Guyana discovered oil, and they were growing despite COVID. But of all the countries which went into the hole, the one which went into the hole just barely was St. Vincent and the Grenadines, because we handled COVID and subsequently the volcanic eruptions and everything else pretty well. In fact, the IMF commended us highly in their report in November last year. In fact, they spoke glowingly that our prompt, decisive actions, we saved lives and livelihoods, and we contained any economic dislocation or economic scars, which is really high praise indeed. And the numbers reflect that, because we're just under 5% in the hole in 2020. Others were up to 20-something% in the hole. St. Lucia, for instance, went into the hole very big. Other countries too, Antigua. And then in 2021, all the predictions were that we are going to go into the hole deeper as a result of the volcanic eruptions. But in the second half of the year, we bounced back because we cleaned up very quickly, particularly in the last quarter, really from, I would say, from around August, September. We began to do some bouncing back and get people back in their homes, certainly most of them by early October. And the last quarter, we were able to perform quite well. So much so that we ended the year with a 0.5% growth, when they were expecting, all the experts were expecting -6%. And then in 2022, despite the overhang of these challenges and what happened in the Ukraine in February 2022 and continuing, we were able to grow last year by 5%, and we are on target to grow this year by 6%. Of course, there are downside risks.
What are some of those risks?
Natural disasters always one. The continuing war in Ukraine worsening, affect the continued downturn in the global economy, and with high rise in interest rates and high rates of inflation. Even the public health challenge, because we don't know, though we have managed the COVID situation pretty well, we see what is happening in China, and there's an uptick in Britain and some parts of Europe and the United States of America. So we still have to be very careful. And then all the pre-existing problems. These are new things which are piled upon pre-existing ones. But what happened is that, Teresa, we took a conscious decision in 2020 and in 2021 and into 2022 that we will put things in place. So when we emerge in from the valley, so to speak, and climb on the hillside, going to the mountaintop, that we would be able to do so fairly swiftly. And that is why in 2022, when we registered 5% growth, economic growth, and you can see the bounce back in the numbers for employment. For instance, in the COVID year, the number went down from 43,000 persons paying active registrants at the NIS rate, 43,000 and something, to 41,000 and something. But by the end of 2022, we were over the 2019 numbers. Mm-hmm. In fact, we had bounced back very much. And all different sectors, tourism is bouncing back, agriculture and fisheries, we see some movements in certain areas of agriculture. The services, including the call center services, Clay Harbor is now employing 850 persons. And news has just arrived that some people that I saw about 6 weeks ago, Clay Harbor brought them, and I went to see them down at Clay Harbor. That's a new contract involving 400 more workers. So by March, April, you're going to have over 1,200 workers working at Clay Harbor.
You know that there have been some complaints about working conditions at some of these call centers.
Yes. Well, but what Clay Harbor has been doing, they have been seeking to build out facilities. It's not easy work. Build out facilities to be able to provide an environment, and the facilities are new. To accommodate this new contract, they're retrofitting upstairs by the Russell property in up in the Stony Ground, downstairs where you have the imaging, Caribbean imaging. They're going to be upstairs. Now,
so this is an extension, more or less?
Yeah, it's part and parcel of Clay Harbor. In addition to being at Otimere's building, they have rented the CTAW building and the property across. You should pass there and see how they retrofit the place. Now, Camilo best explained what we have done in 2021. He said, in both 2021, in his budget speech, he said, we confounded the skeptics and beat the economists' predictions. Our economy shrank less and grew more than the experts thought possible. By the end of last year, 2022, we rebounded to 2019 levels of production, based on a strong record of accomplishments and promises kept. The record of fulfilled promises included, and he mentioned 21 of them. I'll just do them quickly to remind people. Constructing replacement houses in Orange Hill and repairing over 900 houses in the aftermath of the volcanic eruptions. Constructing the Georgetown Coastal Defense, a multi-million-dollar coastal protection project aimed at safeguarding lives and livelihoods. Distributing 47 units at Lomans Bay to families at a cost of $48.8 million to accommodate the construction of the modern port in Kingston. Rehabilitating the Barley Anglican, Barley Government and St. Vincent Grammar Schools as a precursor to works on the St. Clair Dayton, Kingston Anglican, Thomas Saunders Girls High School and Beckway Community High School. Completing the Long Line Road, which provides vehicular and pedestrian access between the communities of Coles Hill and Rose Hall. Providing over $25 million in income support to persons affected by the pandemic and the volcano through various entities and programs. Negotiating a generous public wage worker agreement which provides a 7% increase in compensation between now and 2025 at a cost of over $25 million. Enacting comprehensive tax cuts that increase the spending power and competitiveness through the reduction in personal income tax and corporate tax. instituting the most far-reaching program of technical and vocational education ever attempted, with over 2,000 formal certifications awarded to date. The number should be 2,500, not 2,000. Awarding a record 73 national scholarships and other awards, and 940 tuition scholarships to tertiary students. Unprecedented. Awarding over $1 million in entrepreneurial grants to small businesses by way of Prime and the Women's Compensation Program to help to create the economic competitiveness of youth, women, and other small business owners. Providing production supports to hundreds of fisher folk nationwide, including wire to build lobster pots, buoys, ice boxes, safety gear, and other equipment to increase productivity and capitalize on the blue economy opportunities. Opening of 2 new vegetable markets and relocating hundreds of vendors in the clean-up Kingston. Commencing the modern port development project, which will revolutionize trade and revitalize Kingston. Commencing construction of the Holiday Inn Express and the Maya Suites Holiday Inn Express and Suites at Diamond, a 92-room hotel, constructing the Bailey Bridges in Noel and Overland, finalizing the construction of the temporary parliament at Kaliakwa, retrofitting the Bronx building to accommodate modernization of Inland Revenue Department, Financial Services Authority, and the Financial Intelligence Unit, procuring St. Vincent Grenadines' first MRI machine, which will be operational in the coming weeks. Well, it won't be operational till May. We just got some communication. There are some delays. Securing funded for state-of-the-art acute care referral hospital at Arnesville, which would start in the second half of this year. Finalizing the Bank of St. Vincent and Grenadines' purchase of First Caribbean Investment Bank. We pull the bank, the Bank of St. Vincent, from insolvency to the most successful banking institution in the country and one of the best in the Eastern Caribbean. You know, and that's the public sector. But then you have the private sector, the hotels, Maya Suites, going out to the Diamond area, the facility, the hotel up at Rattle Mill, the Royal Mill, the one down at Black Sands, and of course the cream of the crop, the 300+ room hotel at Bokama, the Sandals, which will open by the end of this year, 2023. And Sandals.
2023
yeah.
Okay.
And yes, go ahead.
We'll take our first break,
Sure.
and we'll come back and talk some more about that.
Sure.
Back in just a moment.
Thinking of winning the lotto jackpot? Well, there is an easy way. Combo Play. Choose 4 numbers from 1 to 36. That's a combo 4 at a cost of $64. Match any 4 of the 5 numbers and win the lotto jackpot. There's Combo 6, where you purchase 6 numbers for only $12. Match any 5 of the 6 lotto numbers and hit the jackpot. How about Combo 7? That's a purchase of 7 lotto numbers for $42. Match any 5 of the 7 numbers and you will win the jackpot. There are also Combo 3, Combo 8, and Combo 9 lotto plays. Visit the NLA headquarters in Pauls Avenue or WhatsApp 495-6886 for more details. Lotto, you have to be in it to win it. A time of respect. The latest work by Dr. Gonsalves. Beyond COVID, volcanic eruptions, Hurricane Elsa, and global turmoil, there's fresh hope for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. A time of respect. Book launch this Thursday, January 19th, 7 p.m. at the Methodist Church Hall. There will be a review by Professor Richard Byron Cox in conversation with the author, Dr. Leandro Ralph E. Gonsalves. A time of respect. This Thursday, January 19th, 7 p.m. at the Methodist Church Hall.
Welcome back. Prime Minister, before we took the break, you were outlining some of the major projects that are either on the way or have been completed within the last year or so. What are the plans and proposals for 2023?
Okay, the big ticket items in terms of government, central government programs, capital programs. Obviously, the port, the modernization of the port, the modern port in Kingston, because that should be completed sometime in the second half, early in the second half of 2025. That's a project of $650 million EC. Then the acute referral hospital will start in the second half of this year out at Arnesville. That is a project of 230 million EC dollars, for which we have the full funding already through both the World Bank and OFID. Then there's the $120 million feeder roads projects, secondary roads, feeder roads, a little bit on main roads too, funded by a soft loan from Taiwan. The lot of money into agriculture. For instance, there's a $10 million soft loan from the World Bank, which we're spending this year, 10 million US, 27 million EC, rolling out for farmers and fisher folk. There's a program in relation to fishing boats between the government and KCCU. It's a major.
That's the Kingston
Kingston Cooperative Credit Union. The $40-something million school program, which school rehabilitation, some of it has started, and as I indicated just now, there'll be others which would be picking up. There is a $43 million sea defense project at Sandy Bay to save Sandy Bay. There are 3 lots. It's costing $55 million in all, but we have 40-something million, so we'll do the first 2 lots. That they should be started by the middle of the year. These are we have a capital project, a capital program, for the year in the budget of $471 million. I expect that we'll spend over 300 of it, maybe 350. Last year gone, we spent over 250 million. So implementation is going to be very critical. Capacity is what is going to hold us back, because we have mobilized the resources, and I have other more resources which will be mobilized during this year. I think by now everybody knows that Ralph and his team, we have a capacity to mobilize resources, because even in the most difficult time, we find money to put the country on a path of genuine sustainable development, building a modern, competitive, many-sided post-colonial economy, which is at once local, national, regional, and global. It's amazing. Then, of course, we are seeing an increase in airlift sometime in March. We're going to be looking at the flights every day from American Airlines.
What are we doing about regional airlift?
Well, this is something which we are working on with the Caribbean Development Bank. A consultancy is ongoing with this. We're hoping shortly they will report so that we can do something immediate and then something more longer term. As you know, I slaved with Liat for over 20 years, and when other people beating me up, I was still soldiering on. Now all those who are telling me that the private sector will come in and take up the slack, where are they? Huh? The complaints we used to have about Liat, they're begging, they wish if Liat could come back. But of course, once the Barbados government had said, listen, we can't carry this burden anymore, and they had their own set of challenges, it wasn't possible for St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Antigua and Barbuda to bear the weight. I know heroically Antigua tried to help with 2 planes. But the 3 planes which remained, which are owned by Liat, was 2 of them operational. A lot of people don't know. Those planes are still owned by, essentially by Barbados, Antigua and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We still paying Caribbean Development Bank on those planes, you know. So to Antigua and Barbuda, naturally, because they have them. And Barbados still paying. Barbados paying more than anybody else, actually, because they secured more of the loan from the CDB. Our securing was about 5 million US. You know, relatively small compared to the sum for Antigua. Antigua was about 20-something million dollars, and Barbados a number 35, 40, thereabouts, a big number. So, but we are seeking to get there.
Well, so what is the arrangement now with these 2 or 3 aircraft that exist?
Well, Antigua runs them in a limited way. It runs them in a limited way, but they don't provide the extent of the service. Remember, you know, all when people are talking, we were getting 40-something flights a week from Liat, you know. We don't miss the water till the well run dry.
I don't think we get 2 a week these days.
You see, and the prices have gone sky high.
Yeah.
And the service, anything which has replaced, is not providing the service of Liat. But remember, every time you go to the airport, if Liat didn't bring your bag, you cost Ralph. If Liat is 5 minutes late, you say, Ralph wasting the time and train with money from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and this thing must stop, and so on and so forth. Well, you got your wish. Eh? I warned people. You see, when a man has experience and knowledge and put wisdom to it and common sense and provide the leadership, you have a lot of people who yap, you know. They don't give proper consideration of issues.
It's a huge gap. When we come back, I want to talk about the fact that government continues to invest heavily in education.
Absolutely.
And why this is so important
Yes.
to the government. We'll take a second break and come right back.
Here's your chance to win even more from the National Lotteries Authority when you play 4 2 times daily. Choose 4 numbers from 0 to 9 and you can win up to $5,000 with a $1 inline bet.
Make sport and back it up too. That's right. There'll be lots of cash waiting for you.
Get your tickets Monday to Saturday for the Play 4 midday draw at 1:50 p.m. and the Play 4 night draw 9 p.m. So easy to play.
You'll win even more.
A time of respect. The latest work by Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. Beyond COVID, volcanic eruptions, Hurricane Elsa, and global turmoil, there's fresh hope for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. A time of respect. Book launch this Thursday, January 19th, 7 p.m. at the Methodist Church Hall. There will be a review by Professor Richard Byron Cox in conversation with the author, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. A time of respect. This Thursday, January 19th, 7 p.m. at the Methodist Church Hall.
Welcome back. Prime Minister, we spoke about the fact that we want to talk a little bit about education and why your government has this very heavy investment in education, and how is that paying off for the country?
Teresa, if I just back up a little to make 1 or 2 general points, and so that you can see in a strategic sense where we locate education in the overall strategic thrust of developing a modern competitive post-colonial economy, to have the paradigm shift from a colonial or amended colonial economy, which existed essentially, the colonial economy existed from 1763, the amended colonial economy in the period after statehood to the end of the 20th century. What were some of the features of that colonial or amended colonial economy? In this respect, I'll name one important one, that it was premised, among other things, on unlimited supplies of cheap, unskilled labor. A modern competitive post-colonial economy is premised on an abundance of skilled labor priced at a higher level in the chain of the division of labor internationally. That's one important difference. You can't build a modern competitive post-colonial economy for sustainable development without an educated workforce. Educated at all levels, academic and technical, professional, and to imbue people with new ideas, new and better ideas for work and production. So I think I place it strategically for you, apart from the fact that centrally we are all born with God-given abilities. And experience teaches in our country, in the region and the world, that when you give people the opportunity to develop those God-given gifts, you get progress individually, in the family, and the country. And we are seeing it happening in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Education is a long-term investment, and long after I'm dead, you will be alive. And people, you'll hear people say, and Ansel will bring the news to me, that, boy, is lucky thing, Ralph devoted so much time and money and policy attention to education because we're seeing the benefits individually, in the family, in the community, and the nation. Now, this year, recurrent spending, I'm not talking about capital in respect of schools and equipment and all that, just the recurrent, paying the salaries, running the operation of the plant, and with scholarships and those kinds of monies. $156 million. 16% of the recurrent budget. The recurrent budget is $974 million. It's a big number. How is that broken down? Let me tell you the central ones. Pre-primary and primary education, that's $56 million. Secondary education is $46 million. And post-secondary and tertiary, $42 million. How is that $42 million broken down? $15.5 million at the community college. $6.5 million to pay to the University of the West Indies for economic costs for our students there. And $20 million for scholarships, tuition scholarships, full scholarships, national scholarships, all sorts of assistance for university education. Now, last year, the number was $13–14 million for scholarships and the like. Jump it up by nearly $6 million. 6 point something million. At community college, over an additional $1 million. Investing more, for instance, in the area of nursing, nearly $1 million more to the nursing school. Now, for the hospital services, Milton Cato, Modern Medical in Georgetown, the Georgetown Hospital, the Chateaubriand Hospital, and the Mariquois, not involved in the Grenadines ones, under the hospital services. That's $42 million. So what we're spending on post-secondary and tertiary education is exactly the same amount of money we're spending on those hospital services at those 5 institutions I just named for you. Incredible, eh?
Yeah.
Taking care of the young people and their special programs for technical education, spending about $5 million on technical education. I'm not talking technical college, which is part of the community college. The Georgetown Technical Institute alone, we're spending $1 million recurrent on that. We have about 16 staff members full-time up there. All array of courses. And the same thing happened at the Kingston Technical Institute, the Camden Park Technical Institute, so forth. And we are planning to put, by the way, the center down in Peterborough is going to be extended this year into an institute, a full-fledged institute. We want to build, as part of a hub, cultural hub, technology hub, performing arts hub, computer education. We want to do one, and production. We want to do one in Bellevue at the old Central Road factory. That space, we have a lot of space there. That'll be a big one, and a smaller one down in Peterborough. We are doing the planning for those this year, and I'm looking the funding. We have some money in the budget to do the designs. I'm not waiting until I get all the money. I'm confident that I'll get the money.
Okay.
So, the young people, all I'm asking them, listen to when I talk about the scholarships and the training and the opportunities. And all the monies that you hear I'm talking about there doesn't involve the increased number of scholarships by 20 to Taiwan. Morocco is going to provide 40. That's on top of all what we have in England and Wales and North America and Cuba and the India, the South America, several different places, Australia. And we're hoping to expand into the European Union fully. I had a discussion yesterday with the European Union ambassador. I spoke about some of that this morning on the radio in 705 on my program.
Okay.
I want the students to know that 2050, which is just around the corner, 2050 is just 28 years from now. Think about it. In 2025, you'll be 25 years away. And I would have been in office nearly 25 years by 2025, God willing, knock wood. So it's just around the corner, and you have to prepare for it. You who are 20 years now, you have to be getting skills, because in 2050, when you're 48 years old, the world is going to be a different world from a technical skill standpoint than it is today. So it's my job to look around the corner and help you to prepare yourself. And then other things which we are doing for young people, a series of other programs, including things like Prime.
What about the whole question of job creation for young people?
All of these areas are connected to job creation. All the 850 persons, or let me say 99% of the 850 persons down at Clare Harbour are young people. You see the number of young people into construction. No. Something which pleased my heart. I went on one of the sites up in where the bridge is, the Bailey Bridge is. There's a lady from Bayer. One of the few women 2 decades ago got into construction. She has her daughter on the site as a construction worker too. Was cutting steel, her daughter was cutting steel. Developed technical skills, went to school, learned, and went on the site. More and more young women doing it. Not yet a flood, but a trickle, but an important trickle. You're seeing we want to expand in this cultural sphere because a lot of people, including we'll have in Bayer, in Bellevue, a top of the line recording studio as part of the complex. Because we have so many of these entertainers. We want to have, today at Cabinet we were talking about an Academy of Sports and the way how we can develop this, and the Ministry of Sports, which had a mandate on it, as asking them, how are we progressing? So in addition to the traditional areas, there are newer areas where people can learn new skills. At the school in Jamaica, the J.K. Foster, and I don't particularly like how some of the students were sent there haphazardly, and I'm trying to see how I could sort that out. But we have 11 students there studying all kinds of different things in coaching and massaging and training people in sports and various things. Just at that one school. If we do an Academy of Sports, we'll be able to train more and to link with other schools. So young people into sports, they're into culture, and they have the opportunities and entertainment. You watch the strip out at Villa. You see Skinny, fabulous, set up a place. He's a young man. You see, Richard Williams is a man in his 40s, maybe 50. He has a place. You see on the left side, downstairs, you have Hassan Ali, the Freitas, with his place. You have upstairs Millennium. You have that facility upstairs. You over the Christmas holiday period.
You know them all, comrade.
I trial them. I go and see how the young people. For all these are young people, you know. That whole strip, you're going up. And people are breaking out. The sandals would employ, when they open, about 1,200 people. Already, close to 400 have gone off, 300 and something, to be trained. Some of them will stay away in other sandals place, others will come back. You go out by Love You. The bulk of the people out by Love You, the old Grandview, which is a 12 million facility done over with $12 million, a top of the line, small hotel. You see the young people working there. And so on and so forth. I should have brought it. I don't know if the fellas there have it. If they have it. There are 2 calendars. One put out by National Lottery. You'll see the cultural and artistic and sporting people there. And them. All young people. For the 12 months. The month of August is Rutan Williams, who is the captain of the St. Vincent netball team. She's a university graduate. She came to work at my office as a secretary down the line. She's now private secretary to the Prime Minister. She's a university graduate. She's 32 years old, 31 years old. If you watch the calendar too for the one for National Lottery, with 12 young people in all different kinds of businesses and professions. No, none of them killing anybody, you know. None of them creating any violence, you know. None of them thieving. None of them involving in any vagabondry, you know. These are young people who making the country proud. The 73 scholarships which we provided, 20 out of them national scholarships. 5 years. Each of them valued up to $570,000. Those 73 scholarships, exhibitions, and bursaries and special awards, their total value for the period they would be at university is in excess of $12 million. 73 people, you know. And then, in addition to that, we have the economically disadvantaged student loan program. It's 50-something of them this year, which got student loans, you know.
We'll take a final break and come back and talk some more. Back in just a moment.
A time of respect. The latest work by Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. Beyond COVID, volcanic eruptions, Hurricane Elsa, and the global turmoil, there's fresh hope for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. A time of respect. Book launch this Thursday, January 19th, 7 p.m. at the Methodist Church Hall. There will be a review by Professor Richard Byron Cox in conversation with the author, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. A time of respect. This Thursday, January 19th, 7 p.m. at the Methodist Church Hall.
Welcome back. Prime Minister, we're talking about health, and there's a school of thought that not enough is being invested in health, but you clearly outlined what the investment is in health.
Tremendous. I mean, Teresa, all the fundamentals in health are moving in the right direction. You remember the time when we came to office, you had one X-ray machine down the hospital and it broke down half of the time. Your friend, my comrade Vincent Beach, once asked a question in Parliament in 1997 of the then NDP Minister of Health, when are you going to get a CT scan? The Minister of Health answered and said, you're watching too much General Hospital. You see all them pretty equipment, they think we could have them in St. Vincent. Well, we have CT scan in Kingston. We have CT scan in Modern Medical. We have X-ray facilities, ultrasound facilities, down in Bucament, in Tong, in Levi Latham, in Modern Medical. And we are having the MRI. We brought in the module already. We just got information today that there's a delay in the shipping, in the building of the MRI machine itself and so on. So everything may not be completed here and finished by May. We are hoping that it's going to happen by February. But it's all right. As the evangelists say, day by day, sweet Jesus, have to deal with supply chain problems and all that. the World Pediatric Project, which we have made sure that St. Vincent is the headquarters, with children from the age, from birth, young people up to 21. First class, critical, pediatric care. What you'll get in the first world, you get here free.
And while you're talking about that, there's a story about this young man.
A child, 3-year-old.
Yes.
It's a painful story. Now, I'm glad you raise it, because a lot of harsh things have been said which are untrue. The medical services in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, including the World Pediatric Project, which is seized of this child, seeking to see if they can find out what is really wrong. They're doing a series of tests, including sending tests overseas. I've been able to find out. It's a painful thing. 3 weeks ago, the Cabinet Secretary, Mrs. Barnwell Scott, had made arrangements for the child to be flown out to Trinidad by air ambulance. But they wouldn't be accepted in the hospital over there because they didn't have a clear diagnosis. And they're doing the test. It's a troubling medical situation. Look, in the budget, we have monies for medical care under the Office of the Prime Minister of nearly $400,000, plus an additional $700,000 for the forms of social assistance, much of which is spent on medical assistance overseas. Then, from the lotto, for education and health purposes last year, the lotto spent over $3.5 million. Now, I understand the mother had come to see me, but I wasn't there or wasn't available, and nobody had told me. But I have a system with my permanent secretary, Angie Jackson, and with the cabinet secretary. So even though you don't see me, you notice I could talk to you about the child's welfare. And it's painful. We are willing at any time to send the child anywhere in the Caribbean where they would accept the child in respect of, with the diagnosis. Down to today, I talked to the cabinet secretary. She briefed not only me, but briefed the cabinet. I believe now that you raise the thing, I should ask them to, between the cabinet secretary and the Ministry of Health, the chief medical officer, should probably issue a statement as to the efforts which are being made. Okay. But it is, if we can get some idea, clear idea from the doctors, and they did biopsies, they did all sorts of tests, I can't figure out what precisely is wrong so that they, know which entity to receive the child. And as I said, the World Pediatric Project is involved. I understand that attempts have been made also by individuals outside of WPP and outside of the government wanting to help the child, and I welcome those efforts too, but we must all work together. It's not something to work against each other on.
No, not a haphazard.
Yeah, no, it has to be done. And you would think that something like that is going on, and I'm not seized of it. Jimmy Prince, who is the Minister of Health, knows the mother, has spoken to the mother. You wouldn't hear all of that on the road. You wouldn't hear that with anybody. Remember, anything happen, Israel's fault. Eh? I tell you here with sincerity and solemnity, nothing would please me more to hear that we have a proper diagnosis from the medical experts whom we have here and with those from overseas in relation to this lovely child. that we can put that child on a medical ambulance. I hear somebody say that somebody offers a medical ambulance to take the child somewhere, and we say no. I could stop a parent putting a child in a medical ambulance. There's no medical ambulance offered to us. We'll have to pay for it. All we want to know is who is receiving the child. And the receiving of the child, how the receiving of the child has to deal with the diagnosis. That's what I've been.
Okay.
That's what I've been advised, and that
brings some clarity.
That dovetails with what I know normally is the case. We deal with dozens of cases a year. And for those who talk in politics on this, it's sickening. People who want to put politics on a child who is sick. Before I arrived in office, it's $30,000 they used to have for medical help you could have get from the Ministry of Health to go overseas. They buy a ticket here, that is all. There's one case for a child over 10 years ago. We spent nearly $400,000 over a 3-year period, or thereabouts, to save this child and make this child function as a pretty normal human being. Apart from the phenomenal work which the government, which the Ministry of Health here does, and the World Pediatric Project, which I just spoke about. The World Pediatric Project is seized of this child, and I just want to know that the nurses are taking good care of the boy at the youngster down at the hospital, though it's difficult. It's a difficult case, I'm told. And I understand Dr. Boyle is the consultant, who's a good woman. She has been in touch with the cabinet secretary. So for those who say, well, Ralph, don't send the child away. That's the easy part. That's the easy part. The resources will be made available. But I can't just send a child away. Away to where? To which place?
There's a process.
In relation to which diagnosis? And so on and so forth. But you ask me, and I open my heart in the fullest way to provide the support of the government.
Okay, well, thank you. It's just the beginning of the new year. I'm sure you'll be back with us
absolutely
throughout the course of the year again, and all the best.
And we have been doing. We had a consultation with farmers yesterday in South Rivers. Saboto has been going around with the parliamentary representatives, the various constituencies, the farming communities. The day before, on Monday, I had 117 students and teachers from the Central Leeward Secondary School up at my home in Goss. They enjoyed the day. Okay. These are the young people who excelled at cricket and football and athletics and netball and so on and so forth. It was beautiful.
Good stuff. Before you go to the Bailey Bridges, what's the latest with that?
I went on the scene. I went up there on Monday, and the people working on the bridges tell me by the end of January they should be fine.
Okay.
So I hope early February we can open them. And just a plug, tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock.
Oh, the launching of.
And we launched this.
Yes.
A time of despair. Beyond COVID, volcanic eruptions, Hurricane Elsa, and global turmoil, fresh hope for St. Vincent and the Grenadines by Ralphie Gonsalves.
So that's tomorrow at
Methodist Church Hall at 7. It was launched in New York on the margins of the General Assembly. Hilary Beckles and I had a conversation on it.
Okay.
Tomorrow, Dr. Richard Byron Cox and I would be having a conversation
Okay, very well.
on it.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
Thank you. That's our program for today, the very first for the new year. Next week, our guests will be from the Cayville campus of the University of the West Indies. Of course, they are celebrating 60 years this year, so we'll have them as our guests next week, Wednesday. Thank you for joining us, and do have a very pleasant Wednesday evening. Goodbye.